So this is kind of, I was alluding to this, but the idea is instead of focusing on behavioral targeting, or targeting even as the opportune word here, it really is about managing the audience itself, right? I'll give you another analogy. Today, nobody says I'm advertising to keywords when they do search. They say I'm advertising to people who have done something of interest. The something of interest is type the search keyword in. That's the analogy for behavioral targeting. You know, in a way, you say it's not so much about advertising to the behavior. The behavior is just a clue, is a symptom, is an indication of something that this person is going to be interesting to you, or may be interested in your message. So what we want to do is to say, not only have just that one behavior in isolation, we want it to be a culmination of behaviors, a culmination of data about these people to give you a better and better feel, or better confidence, more confidence that this is the right person for your message. So it's about taking in all this data, whether it's data that you provide, whether it's data that comes from third-party sources, putting it all in. It's about generating insight off of it, allowing you to do analysis, to kind of close the loop, if you will, to make sure that this is the right audience for you. But it's all around, again, pivoting around the audience, pivoting around the data. Some of the best practices that are emerging are that people are starting to build these kind of segments, if you will, of audiences, pre-made, pre-generated, to make it easier for the sales teams and so forth to sell it, or make it easier for the brand marketers to think about. Just to give you a couple of examples of things that, for example, we've done for our advertisers. You know, for example, who's a stock trader? So we have a definition saying a stock trader, for example, you can probably read it here, but investors actively follow financial news and track specific stocks, often on a major financial or brokerage site, check the ticker prices, news on a regular basis, and view investment tools. Now this is a very broad definition. I mean, there will be numbers and metrics about how often do they check and how often do they listen and so forth. But you know, once you've defined that segment, you're able to see how do they index against registration data, how do they index against demographic data. You are seeing, you know, what kind of responses that they have and so forth. So it's not just about defining the audience, it's about understanding the audience based on your definition and based on what they've done. The key now with this is not to get too crazy about the targeting in any one aspect. You have to balance the size of the audience with the size of the buy. And there are various pros and cons. I won't necessarily read it, but you know, you don't want the audience to be so large that it's untargeted and uninteresting, and you don't want it to be so small that, to the point that this fellow brought up, that, you know, it becomes so small that it's like you know, it's interesting in and of itself, but not interesting at scale, and doesn't move the needle in a large way. And then one of the kind of very important points that we're seeing with some of our larger advertisers is just, you know, if you have a lot of money to spend and you have a very tight or small or select audience definition, you really run the risk of burning those people out if you just keep sending them messages over and over and over again, and the effectiveness dwindles.